Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Intro to SingleStore and How to Get Started. My name is Matt Brown, and I'll be your moderator today. Before we begin, just a couple logistical reminders. Today's discussion is being recorded, and you're currently in a listen-only mode. You may submit questions throughout the session using the Q&A functionality in the lower section of your Zoom console. If this is your first time joining a SingleStore webinar, heads up that we present regular workshops demoing data and AI use cases and new technologies. In fact, tomorrow we will be presenting a webinar, and if you can click to the next slide, you'll see the title is How to Deploy a Private LLM on AWS Cloud Using Terraform and SageMaker. During this, our team will share a step-by-step process of creating a private customizable LLM capable of retrieval augmented generation and using services like AWS services like Terraform and SageMaker along the way. So if this topic sounds fun to you, feel free to register right now, bit.ly private LLM on AWS webinar. I'll put that link in the chat in a minute. Or if you prefer, you can take a photo or a screenshot of that QR code that's on your screen right now, which will take you to the same place. But let's get back to today's topic. If you jump to the next slide. So actually, before I cover that, heads up that we've got great technical experts that are on this Zoom. They have good grasp of the technologies involved. They're going to be ready to answer your questions interactively. We will try to get to as many of the questions as we can as they come in. I will also flag a few for our live Q&A at the end of the session. But we would love for you to try out today's technology. In fact, anyone who tries it today will be entered for a chance to win new AirPods Pros. All you need to do is click on that link that's on your screen, or I'll put that in the chat in a minute. You can take a photo or screenshot of that QR code as well. And all you need to do is log into SingleStore. You can do a free trial if you're a new user, an existing account if you are already a customer, or an ongoing trial. And we will check out the folks who have come in through that link, and we will announce a winner by the end of today's session. So stay tuned for that. Let me introduce our speakers for today. Please welcome Dave Eiler. Dave leads core product at SingleStore and is our Senior Director of Product Management. Dave has past experience at Databricks and Apple, and now we're glad to have him overseeing product management and the roadmap for the core database at SingleStore. And then Abhinav Shrastava is a Director of Product Marketing at SingleStore with a background from Oracle, Cognizant, and IBM. He has extensive experience in the data and analytics industry. Welcome, everyone. Dave, I believe you have the floor first.
All right, thank you very much. So before I jump into SingleStore, let's get a quick overview of today. I'm going to talk about our product, its core capabilities. Abhinav is going to give you a great demo of just how easy it is to get started, and I'm also going to give you a peek at the product roadmap. Now, before I get into SingleStore, one point that I want to get across is this is not our first rodeo. Our customers are famous brands that you have heard of. I'm talking about Cisco, Comcast, Cigna. These are just the C's. Goldman Sachs, GE, Kellogg's, NBC. And on top of this, companies and brands that are so famous that we can't even put them on this slide, but I bet you use their products every day. So let me talk to you a little bit about SingleStore and why these great companies trust us. SingleStore is a database to transact, analyze, and contextualize data in real time. Let's tease that apart, shall we? Transact, analyze, and contextualize. What do I mean by transact? I mean, we can do fast reads and writes. We're a distributed SQL database. So you've got a single endpoint. You can scale out as much as you want without worrying about sharding or things like that. We can handle as high concurrency as you need, 4 nines of availability. You can trust us with your mission critical apps. I'm talking about analyze. Like, what do I mean by analyze? I mean, we can ingest data ultra fast. We can do super fast analytical queries. And on top of that, we can take ETL jobs and run them 10 times as fast, which means they cost 1/10 as much. Anytime you take a job, you make it take less time, costs a fraction of the amount because you pay by the hour with the CSPs. And this allows us to do real-time analytics and mission-critical apps. And as if that's not enough, generative AI, we've got vector search, we've got regular metadata filtering and keyword search all together in a platform that can power your generative AI apps. All of this goodness, if you want us to host it in the cloud in our SaaS product, great. If you want to manage it yourself in the cloud or on-prem or some combination, great. We got you covered in all of those form factors. Deploy it however you want. How do we do it? Let's take a look under the hood. The data begins its life in our pipelines. This is our mechanism for the ultra-fast ingest, which we are so proud of and our customers love so much. The data arrives in memory, the first layer of our data hierarchy. All right. And in fact, when we were born, MemSQL, this was the only thing we had. That's why it was called MemSQL. And man, have we added a lot since then. And this is the support for our ultra-fast reads and writes and ingestion. All right. But that wasn't enough. We want to do analytics too. Right. So we add our persistent cast, which is our middle tier, the disk level, where we can we have a column store. And in fact, we have a column store and a row store together in the same table type that we call universal storage. We have a patent on that. That is how we're able to do transactions and analytics at the same time. But you might say, well, I've got a ton of data. I've got too much data. I can't fit it all. We got you covered with that too in cloud object stores. With our bottomless storage, as much data as you have separated from compute, you can have cold storage and scale as much as you want with SingleStore. All of this, the structure of the database is with nodes we call leaves, and then we've also got aggregators. They aggregate the queries. Many users you want can access these queries. And what does this allow us to do to bring us back? What are we accomplishing? Transact, analyze, and contextualize data in real time. All right, let's go deeper on these capabilities. All right, there are some databases that can transact. You've heard of them, MySQL, Oracle, Aurora, all these databases. They can do really fast writes and reads, high concurrency, highly available, all these great capabilities. But you know what they can't do? Analytics. As soon as those databases try to do analytics, wheels come off. Doesn't work. All right. Now you got these analytics databases like Redshift and Snowflake, Teradata. They can do complex queries, aggregations, easy to scale, but they can't do those transactions I just talked about. SingleStore is the only one that can do both. And what does it allow us to do that we can do both? We can ingest extremely fast in our pipelines and then run sub-second analytical queries right after you ingested on that data, allowing us to do real-time analytics. We can also take these huge ETL jobs you got running in Hadoop or Spark or whatever platform you're using, and you run them in 10 times as fast, which means they cost 1/10 as much. Do you want more time? Do you want more money? These interesting to you? We have got you covered. All right. So what does this end up looking like in our customer system? Well, there's a few different form factors we get deployed in. One of them is you got some SaaS apps. I need the transactions. I got some analytics in them. Boom, we got you covered. We've got analytics inside of your SaaS apps and data intensive applications. A lot of our customers, they've got some dashboards. They got to be ultra real time, really up to the second. All right. Or sometimes, it could be in a tool like, Tableau or Power BI. Could be they made the dashboard custom because it's so important to their business. Our customers do this all the time. We've got you covered, real-time analytics for dashboards. As I mentioned before, I've got an ETL job. Like it's taken forever, like Hadoop and Spark. They're so slow. It costs so much money. Speed it up. Huge cost reduction, huge time saver at the same time. Now, some customers are like, Dave, well, I kind of want to do all these things. I've got some apps over here and I've got some dashboards over here. And I just have this job that takes forever. We call that pattern the operational database pattern. We have a ton of customers doing that. And that's all of those things. So yes, you can do that. In fact, that's the whole point. That's why it's called SingleStore. It's the one database that can do all of these things. Right. And where do we see this? All over the place. Fraud detection. I've got a transaction. Is it fraudulent or not? How long do I have to figure that out? No time at all. It's got to be real time, sub-second. All right. I've got a recommendation engine. I want to recommend things to my customers. Has to be instantaneous. I've got tracking ads or cookies or anything like that all over the internet, ad networks, bidding, all of that stuff, all that ad tech and martech, got you covered. Financial quotes got to be up to the second. I might want to do analysis on that stuff. We take care of that all the time. Cybersecurity, somebody's trying to break into your network. How do you see that? A bunch of events. You got to sift through them all. You got to look for anomalies in real time. We do that. Supply chain. What am I going to put on the truck? I got to figure out at the last minute, like when I'm going to load this truck, I'm going to load these inventories, I'm going to reorder these items. This is a real-time operation. It saves our customers millions of dollars, all right, because of our capabilities. All right, Internet of Things monitoring. I got, some devices on the edge of the network, or I've got, it could be anything. It could be a hard drive, could be an oil rig. Who knows? I want to monitor it, or I wanted to monitor the network that it's on, or I want to monitor my AV network. All these things is a real-time analytical operation. And there's so many more. Another one is generative AI, and I'm going to tell you more about that in a minute. Let's give you an example of a customer that has taken advantage of this. Okay, LiveRamp had this big, crazy Hadoop job. They've got all of these files coming from their customer's network on AWS or wherever. They got to ingest all the files. This was taking 15 hours. It takes 5 minutes now. You understand how much money and time this saves them. They're saying, $5 million. It's like they're getting paid millions of dollars to use our product. 75% TCO reduction, 179 times faster, this job. This is the power of SingleStore and why we are trusted and loved by all those big brands I told you about at the beginning. All right, now, as if that wasn't enough, let's talk about generative AI. And the last piece of the puzzle was to contextualize. There are vector databases out there. Pretty much all of them are going to allow you to store vectors and search them. Some of them, the really advanced ones, might say, oh, and you can do text search as well. Or you can even do, metadata filtering, which is just regular SQL filtering. Not all of them have that. Some of them have that. Let me tell you what these databases don't have. Okay, let me tell you what SingleStore has all those things. All right. And what are the other things that SingleStore has that those databases don't have? Deploy however you want. They're probably picking one option, all right? Because these are all new databases that have just been born. They're either only in the cloud, they're only on-prem. They don't have multiple solutions, okay? They certainly are not doing analytics and transactions at the same time that I just explained to you a minute ago. Okay, windowing functions, yeah, right. Like they'll get to that in like 3 years. Okay, sure. Governance and security, RBAC, come on, that stuff's going to come way later. We've got structured data. We've got JSON, geospatial, time series, key value, all these different data formats we support. All right. Those databases ain't supporting that. Okay. They also don't have joins. They don't have common table expressions, subqueries. They don't have any of this stuff. Okay. How much time is it going to take you to work with this? They certainly are not separating storage and compute. We've got isolated compute pools with workspaces. We've got bottomless storage in the Cloud Object Store to get your scalability worked out, all figured out. We've got streaming, replace on duplicate key, merge, all of these operations that allow you to handle your real-time use case. And we do synchronous updates immediately. The moment you write, it is available. You put those vectors in, they're immediately available to read. These other ones are kind of in an eventual consistency situation where it might be behind. You might write the vectors and it's not there yet when you go to read it, which can be tough with these real-time use cases where you're serving chat, like users are in there working with it. And so all this together means you don't want to use one of these specialty vector databases. We have got you covered. All right. And our customers are already doing it. Companies like Lumana using it, video surveillance, using to search inside of the videos. Thorn is a platform for protecting kids from abuse. They're using it to match faces. LiveRamp to connect emails to each other with semantic search. Siemens also uses it for semantic search on their Pulse Analytics that they use internally to see how their employees are feeling. And Nyrus is another platform that uses visual search, and we're always adding more of these. So we have got you covered for everything I talked about. Transact, analyze, and contextualize in one place in SingleStore. Now, next, I'm going to turn it over to Abhinav to show you just how easy it is to get started with SingleStore.
Hey, thanks, Dave. If you could, okay. I was going to use the slide, but we're going to do 4 simple steps here, folks. So we're going to create a database. We're gonna first we're gonna help you sign up. We're gonna create a database. We're gonna load the data, and we're gonna query this data. Thank you, Dave. So let me share my screen, and I'm gonna help you get started. So if you've never used SingleStore, you get started at SingleStore.com, right? So SingleStore.com is our website. If you've never signed up, it's easy to sign up. You click on the free trial link. It takes you to this page, and this is where you can sign up either with your Google credentials or with your Microsoft credentials, or you can do it the old-fashioned way, your name and email address, company email address, and continue to sign in. You'll need to answer a couple of basic questions about how you're going to use this database, and you will be on your way. So it's that simple. But I wanted to show you the screen just to show you that when you sign up, you also get $600 of free credits. And credits basically is our currency, where you can use these credits against database compute resources that are running for your application. So let's get into it. Once you sign in, you will come to this sort of screen, right? So this is a brand new sign in I created. So a lot of it is completely empty. What I prefer to do, first thing, like any good developer, I want to change my theme to a dark theme. So much cooler. All right. So once we have that out of the way, let me orient you to what you're seeing here. So this is our home screen. We've got an onboarding checklist. You want to note that when you sign in, you will have a few credits already. And as you complete the tasks on this onboarding checklist, these are just to help you get started. So describing your use case, creating a workspace, which I've done already. So I already gained these credits. But if you complete a tutorial, invite team members and so on, you gain access to more credits and up to a max of 672 credits. So other things you're seeing on the screen here are the left sidebar, the right sidebar. Let's go to the right sidebar first. This is our chatbot assistant to help you with any technical questions. This is not human. This is like a generative AI chatbot. You can ask technical questions, and all of the responses are based on documentation and forums and internal links that we've uploaded to as the knowledge base for this chatbot. So, what is a SingleStoreDB workspace? The chatbot pops up, and you see that this is pre-populated, the question, and Squirrel will actually analyze all the information it has and give you an answer on what it is. So there's a lot of questions I see already coming up in our Q&A. So you can actually try this as we're going and get immediate answers. So lots of cool stuff here. I'm also going to use this chatbot to actually generate some queries. So we will see that in a bit. On the left sidebar, so there's a few things going on. So we're at the home page, we're at the start page. There's a gallery. Now these are a set of notebooks that are pre-created for you to address simple scenarios. So everything from hybrid search to getting started with notebooks, or creating your own LLM app. So it kind of gets from 101 level to like 301 level, all kinds of stuff. So today we're going to keep it very simple. On the left sidebar, you've also got your cloud navigation, your developer navigation, and monitoring and pipelines. So let's actually get right into doing, creating a notebook. Creating a database. So the way we do it in SingleStore, we have the concept of workspaces, and there's a concept of workspace group. So this is how you actually get started. So you create a workspace group, and as you see here, this defaults to group 2 because I already had a workspace group created, but you will get a chance to choose your cloud provider. So you want to specify either AWS, GCP, or Azure for this cloud trial. And you can specify which region you want to associate this workspace group with. Now, what the group does is it allows you to create your compute resources and your database, and manage them together in one place. So I'm going to leave most of these defaults on. you'll see that the workspace group is, this is a summary, this is the name, and you can get started. I'm going to click on next. Now, this next step is important. So this is the actual workspace that allocates compute resources to your your workspace, to your database, actually. So these are the defaults I have in workspace group 2. This is a workspace 1. You'll see there's a size. Now, the size of the workspace indicates how much compute and RAM you want to allocate to a database, right? So and it also aligns with how many credits you will end up using per hour. So as you can see here, the default is S00 and 2 vCPUs and 16 gigs of RAM. You can actually change this and to go way higher. In the cloud free trial that I'm using, it can go up to S16. But if you upgrade to standard or premium options, you will get other workspace sizes that are much more suitable, maybe much more suitable for your size. So I'm going to stick with S00 and I'm going to select that size. Also, you'll see here there are settings for more advanced features. So we have a proxy for MongoDB that you can connect your MongoDB applications for. If you're interested in that, you can keep that selected. Otherwise, I'm going to disable it for the purpose of this demo. And you also have an auto suspend option. Now, an auto suspend is simply to help you save compute resources and credits while you're not using your workspace. So I'm going to for this purpose, I actually don't need it. So I'm going to switch it off, but I would recommend for test dev purposes, you leave that on. We also have some sample data sets in case you're interested in pulling pre-existing data sets for a MarTech application. You can just select this and keep going. I'm going to create this workspace as we have it now. You'll notice that it is in the US West group, which was the workspace group that we had selected. So I'm going to hit create. So what this does is it starts spinning up a new cluster, a new workspace, right? So this is deploying right now. And this basically means that the compute and memory resources are being allocated. And once this is done, you will also see that you will have an option to create a database right here. This could take a few minutes. So I'm going to switch over to the workspace that I already have, which is my group 1, workspace 1. It's the exact same configuration, but I already have this going ready for this demo, right? So just imagine that workspace got created, and now you have this workspace, which is the S00. Now, notice here that you have a connect option, and that what that allows you to do is you can use a SQL editor, or you can connect directly. So if you go to connect directly, you can actually connect this. Okay, you can generate a strong password, but then you can connect to using a CLI client or any of these other options. There's a Mongo option. There's a connection to your BI tools, and you can actually choose your tool, and you'll see the connection strings there for your use. But for now, I'm going to do this much simpler. So I'm going to create the database. I have a table that I want to use to create the database. I'm going to show you that table real quick. So this is my sample data set. It's a small data set. It's Food Hub. You can liken it to a fictitious food delivery company, right? And what it's got is so this is just a CSV file. It's got orders. It's got restaurant names for those orders, cost of the order, when the order was placed, whether it was a weekday or weekend, and there's a few other fields here. So I have this CSV actually stored on my own computer, and I'm gonna use the CSV to create this database. So let's go back to our portal. I'm gonna name my database something. So let's call it Food Hub database, Food Hub underscore database. I want to make sure that I'm attaching it to the right workspace, and this is a read-write workspace. I'm going to create this database, and this database creation itself is going to be fairly quick. So once the database is created, there we go. So this is a read-write workspace that is attached to our Food Hub database. And just know that we can actually attach multiple workspaces. So as your database grows, you can add workspaces to allow you to continue to have performance for your application. So now that this is done, I'm going to show you the easiest way to get started, right? So I have the CSV file. I want to show you what we've got as a preview right now. So this is available. This is a public preview. You can actually start using it right now. This is called Stages. And what Stages is it's a simple, it's like a storage service. So if you have a data set on your own computer, you can upload it using Stages, and we will host it for you, and then you can load that data into your database. So let's see how that looks. So I have my Mac Finder window. Where I have the data set, I'm going to drop it into, so I have my food_order.csv data set. I'm going to drop it into the Stages upload file, and I'm going to upload this file. This is, there we go. So now order.csv is on our storage service. What we can do with this is to actually create the database, right? So we can load this data to the database that we created. So let's do load to database. We choose that workspace 1, and we choose the database that we had created. So Food Hub database, and the table order kind of defaults to Food Hub_order, which was the name of the CSV file that I had selected. And see here, we are able to generate a notebook just by uploading the CSV. And this is really magical. I mean, this makes things very simple to get started. So as you see, it creates a notebook, and notebooks, just for reference, if you continue down on the left sidebar, notebooks are on your develop navigation, and you'll see notebooks. You can have personal or shared notebooks. So shared notebooks are the notebooks that are shared across your organization. So I'm in my own organization right now, and so this gets created under the personal notebook. So this is my notebook, and it's already populated. See, we've got it uses, so this first cell here, right, it creates the table. And it creates the table based on the fields that we had in the CSV. So the order ID, customer ID, all of these fields are created. Let's just run this and make sure it works. So execution and executed, right? So we have the table created. Now, this is how things get so easy with Stages. So the pipeline creation, Stages takes care of the pipeline creation. It has specified what pipeline to create, how to load the data using Stages, and there's a bunch of useful ads that it is created to make things easier for you. It's formatted the CSV as well. So let's run through this, and we've got we have loaded the data from our CSV into the table that was created in the previous cell. Now, the pipeline is, let's start this pipeline to make sure that the data is actually in our table. And we can monitor the pipeline for errors. This is a nice to have for more complicated commands. And now let's just check whether the data actually got loaded into the table we had created. So this is just a select star statement. This is 100. I don't want 100 lines here, so I'm going to limit it to 5, and just let's check if that works. Okay, so we have our data, order IDs, customer IDs, everything loaded, and it's that fast. You have a working database at this point. You can actually query this data. So that's our last step. So what would be interesting to query? As you can see, this is a simple order table. It's got restaurant names and cost of the order, and so on. So maybe we just query, and I've got this written up on my Visual Code Studio, but maybe it's just interesting to query what is, let's say, the average order value. So I'm going to copy my average order value SQL query. So let me add a query here. So what is the average order value? It's a simple select for average on the cost of the order from this table. Let's just run that and make sure that it works. So yeah, $16.49 or almost 50 cents for the average order. Now this is fairly simple. I'm going to run another simple query. What is the total number of orders on this data set that we have? So select count and the order ID, and that should work. All right, so 1,898 rows, a fairly small data set. But what if you wanted to do something a little bit more involved, right? So, and you don't really, you're not the best at SQL, like maybe like me, right? So let's see if we can use SquirrelBot to actually create a query for us. So I'm going to turn this code with Squirrel on, and I'm going to ask Squirrel to help us generate a query to run this. So let's see. So we've got, what if we wanted to, so there's cuisine type, right? So what if we wanted to find out what is the most popular cuisine type for this food delivery company? So Squirrel can actually, create a query for you. It needs a little bit of handholding, but we're getting better. But let's see what kind of query you can write. So I want to specify what table this Squirrel should work with, and so I'm gonna give it that much handholding. So I have a table called Food Hub Database, and I'm gonna I have these fields which I want to use. So you may not actually need all of these fields, but I'm going to allow it to have some guidance, just like with prompt engineering. So I have a table, food hub underscore database, and food hub order, and I'm specifying the fields that I'm interested in. So let me ask Squirrel to write the query for us. So write a query to find out the most popular cuisine type. So let me say generate, and Squirrel is doing its thing. It's going to look up everything that it knows and try to generate a query for us. And let's see what it came up with. So select cuisine type from food hub order and order by count. I think, okay, so this looks okay, but let me see if it really works. So it came up with, so yeah, it added the cell and select cuisine type from food hub and group by cuisine type. I think it's missing a field, but let's see what it came up with. So it actually, oh yeah, so if I had added a count star for cuisine type, I would have also seen the number of orders that were received for the American cuisine type. But if you go back to your database, data set, you will be able to double check that American is the most popular cuisine type that's ordered. And so there we have it. We have showed you how to sign up. We've showed you, how to load, how to create a workspace, how to create a database, how to run simple queries on your database. So with that, I think it's back to you, Dave.
All right. Thanks, Abhinav. Folks, that is just how easy it is to get started with SingleStore. All right, we encourage you all to go check out our free trial. It's available to start whenever you want. Get in there and play with it yourself and let us know what you think. Now, I also want to give everybody a taste of what's coming down the pipe in the product roadmap. I'm going to cover a very small sample of what we've got. It's far too long to list all the features, but I'm going to talk about a few of my favorites. The first one is the Aura Compute Service. So you saw Abhinav working with the notebooks. So this is our ability to run custom code, which we already have. He was doing SQL. We also support Python. And this service has just been an absolute hit with our customers. So we're doubling down, we're adding a lot more. That's going to include things like memory optimized workloads. It's going to include GPU support to continue to support that generative AI use case. And we're going to continue to add features to that experience that we call Aura. One of those features, which I'm going to call out explicitly, is the Notebooks job service. So today you can go in there and you can create, your different jobs, and we're going to make it that much easier for you to schedule the job inside of the Notebook interface and run it however you need to in order to get your data in the right state without you having to use an outside service to schedule the job. Scope is the name of our product line for search, which is an area of great focus for us. And we've already got a ton of features there. And we're going to be adding an index approximate nearest neighbor vector search. This is a IVF, inverted file index, product quantize index, that it kind of allows you to, when you're looking for vectors, give me the vectors that are closest to the one I was looking for, instead of an exact match, which is often what you want to do in as fast as possible time. So that's going to be part of scope, and that's coming in A5. That is just, it'll coming in December, so any day now. On the some other features on the core database side, we have projections. So projections today, if you have a table, you can have a shard key. If you want to, group, let's say you want to divide your data, lay it out by customer, you could shard by your customer, or you can sort key. Like often customers, want to sort on like the time that the event happened in order to make queries faster. Sometimes you want a secondary shard or sort key, and you don't want to create a whole other table. So we're going to add projections. So let's say you wanted to sort both by the time an event happened and maybe the date that that a customer was acquired. You would be able to do that by adding a projection, which is kind of like an invisible copy of the data that hides behind the scenes, and then we will automatically determine whether to use that projection as part of the query based on our query optimizer. So that's going to be a super exciting feature that's coming also in A5. Database branching. Now, this is an absolute game changer in terms of developer productivity. So let's say you have a database in production and you would like to do your testing and development on that database. Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to start doing development against the production database? Well, that's crazy. Like you could mess up the production database. You're going to copy the whole data. That sounds like really hard. I don't want to do that. So database branch is like a copy of the database that is almost instantaneous and doesn't make a copy of the data because it is only copying like what is different. Like you create a database branch and then any writes going to that branch only affect that branch. And so this allows people to work together on a single copy of the data without interfering with each other. So let's say, you had a bunch of analysts working on, they all wanted to work on their own copy of the data, and they're all cleaning it and writing to it in their own way. They don't all have to have their own copy. They can all work off a branch of the master database and then not interfere with each other. And it's just a huge productivity booster that is going to be in private preview in 8.5. And we please contact us, current customers, if you want to try it, and it'll be GA early next year. Auto scaling. So we already have scaling of workspaces. So you can, using our management API, scale up and down as you need. But wouldn't it be great if we detected, based on the amount of demand, how much we needed to scale, and we did it for you? So we're going to be introducing auto scaling, which will allow you workspaces, within a range to scale up and down. And the middle layer is going to remain consistent in this implementation. So it'll be super fast. Data will not be shuffled around. And you'll be able to rely on that to meet the needs of your workload without having to leave the workspace at the biggest size all the time. And so it saves you money as well. The last feature I'm going to highlight is SingleStore Kai. This is our Mongo API. So if you want to, Mongo is, again, as I said before, it's one of those databases. It's great in transactions, not so great in analytics. And so if you want to do analytics on Mongo data, you can suck that data into SingleStore directly into our pipeline without doing any kind of, using any other product or in the middle. and get super fast analytics. You don't have to translate it. You can use the MQL. We've got an MQL shell in our product you can use, and it's ultra easy. And if you want to just turbocharge those slow parts of your Mongo app, then you've come to the right place. SingleStore Kai is for you. So that's just a taste of, we got a lot more things coming. And now what I want to do is open it up to questions from the group.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. We have way more questions than we could ever answer in the remaining time, but please keep the questions coming. We will try to get to as many via email after this session, even if we don't get to them live. So please keep them coming. Reminder, the Q&A functionality is at the bottom of your Zoom webinar. One question, Dave, I'll start with you. There were some questions about, I guess, enterprise features related to what happens if, you know, there's an outage event, power goes out, backup restore types of functionality. I wonder if you could just talk about those features or capabilities a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a ton of resiliency features to handle those kind of cases. So just at the database level, in our clustering algorithm, we've got what are called availability groups. So those are groups of leaves, and the data is always on 2 leaves. So even if you lose one node, then you're still okay because you still got the data on another node. Now you might say to yourself, well, what if an entire cloud availability zone went down? That is like, you know, like a power outage, like you mentioned. In that case, we've got cross AZ deployment in our premium option. So that way, you have all the data you need, both in separate AZs. So even if an entire data center is to fail, we still have you covered in that case. And that's how we're able to achieve, 4 nines of resiliency or availability.
Good stuff. There were a couple questions about, I guess, competitors or other solutions. One mentioned was Snowflake, another was Oracle. And I know, Avi's got background at Oracle. And so, Dave, I'll pose that question to you, but you're welcome to delegate any of it. I also see that Hanson has entered the chat, so we can tap him for any of this that you like as well.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, I'll start by talking about Snowflake. Snowflake is a great analytical database. And I talked about this before. They were highlighted in the analytical section. So they're super good. Like, I've got petabytes of data. I can do big analytical queries on that. That's great. What is Snowflake not good at? Ingesting really fast. The data's got to go all the way down to the bottom of the object store, right? So they don't have that ability to ingest fast. And they also don't have the ability to have a lot of high concurrency with a lot of people querying it at the same time. So anytime you have something that your customers are relying on, like this data, this ETL pipeline or this app or something that is customer facing, you're going to run into a situation where if you can even get Snowflake to support your real-time SLA or the concurrency that you have, you're going to have to scale it up and up and up and up and pay a huge amount of money. And we often find our customers looking to us to solve that problem for them.
Just on the question of Oracle, Dave, feel free to add, or Hanson, but having come from Oracle, a lot of the challenge with Oracle database is just the ability to scale. Now, it's very performant for transactional applications, but when it comes to scaling, they have only real application clusters. So it's more vertical scaling, add more resources, and that's kind of it. It's you're very limited. Of course, there is a very big factor for many customers, which is cost and licensing, and dealing with Oracle is what it is. So that's one other key factor why customers like to migrate away from Oracle and to SingleStore. And the third is kind of goes back to the point, Dave, you were making earlier, which is our real-time analytics capabilities, fast ingestion, and being able to query the data as it lands on SingleStore. So those I would say are the 3 key differentiators.
Great summary. Dealing with Oracle. Do you want to deal with Oracle?
Okay. Good stuff. I'm going to pose this one to Hanson because he's been around, I think, longer than all of us at SingleStore, including the MemSQL days and on into the new brand and everything. So this question was, why is it called SingleStoreDB?
Oh, that's a really good question. So, we have a storage technology which we call universal storage. If you look up in our documentation, basically it's one table type which can handle all kinds of workloads. And frankly, when the engineers initially started designing that, we called it SingleStore internally. And so it turned out that calling the company MemSQL, initially, it was the technology was built around an in-memory database, and that's why we called it MemSQL. But within a couple of years after we founded the company, we knew that we needed to be able to have databases that were bigger than would fit in memory. And so, we built a disk-based column store. Then we evolved that into SingleStore, which is basically a column store that can handle analytical and transactional workloads. And so when it came time to really think about rebranding the whole company, we just loved that term SingleStore because it captures that technology you had, a single table type that can handle all kinds of workloads. And then just more generally makes it clear that, we're a single store that you can use for all kinds of different purposes, both analytical and transactional and kind of everything in between. We have multi-model support for structured data, JSON, full text, time series, spatial, vectors. So, we're the single store where you can build many different types of applications and build modern applications that have both analytical and transactional characteristics.
Good stuff. Thank you, Eric. Dave, I'll give this one to you. There's a question, what is the maximum DB size handled so far? What's the max concurrency tested with live customer data? You want to take that one?
Yeah, I believe we've tested our cloud up to about I think it's S256, which is like 256 terabytes of disk space, and that's how many Hanson, how many vCPUs do you think would be in that? Is it
each unit has 8.
Yeah, so 8 times that number of vCPUs.
Good stuff. There's a couple questions. There was questions about on-prem, cloud, hybrid, like what types of customers are using, how many customers do we have in these different types? Do you know any of that information offhand, Dave?
So you broke up for a second. Tell me that one more time.
Yeah, I was just asking, some people were asking about on-prem versus cloud and how many customers we have in those different areas. I wonder if they're asking about like our strength in those different areas.
Yeah, we've got a lot of customers in both areas. So the key thing is SingleStore has been around since 2011, before the cloud was even a thing. So we've got a lot of valued customers, from that era, still doing, on-prem. And as we've grown, we've launched the cloud. We've developed, a ton of cloud customers. Most of the new business is in the cloud, but we do have, significant customer cohorts in both areas.
Dave, if you want to pull the under the hood slide, there's a question about sharding. Can you explain sharding is all the data on each shard? Right.
Yeah, so the way the shard key works is like, let's say you wanted your data to be physically laid out. Let's say a lot of our customers look at it by serving their customers for the data. So they often shard on the name of the customer. And what that's going to do is going to lay out the data in that way. And it's not that all of the customer data is going to be on a particular node, but it's going to put, in the partitions, it's going to put the data logically next to each other to be in the most efficient way.
Awesome.
Good stuff. Go ahead, Abby. Do you have any favorites that we haven't gotten to yet? Or let me know if I can keep going through my list, but go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm looking at the open questions. There's a question about comparing SingleStore with Cassandra. Dave, do you want to take that, or Hanson?
Yeah. So Cassandra is your classic OLTP database. So they're super fast reads and writes, super fast lookups. You're gonna try to do analytics on there. Whoops, like that's not gonna work. So that's we see them a lot of the times, and we'll end up replacing them because of our analytical capabilities.
Yep. Okay, let's see.
Hanson, there's one that I'd love to give you. It was asking about like the vector capabilities of SingleStore, and I know you've done a lot of like vector stuff and a lot of our AI webinars. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So, first, a lot of people, vector search has been a hot topic, but it's pretty new in the last year, so a lot of people still don't know what it is. So basically, vector search is, so people can get vectors, which are high dimensional vectors of floating point numbers to describe objects like chunks of text or pictures, that kind of thing, from various AI models. So the large language models, or LLMs, have gotten super popular in the last year. And these LLMs allow you to take a small chunk of text, like 3 lines of text, you present it to the LLM, and it gives you back an array of, say, 1,500 floating point numbers that it's called a vector, and that represents the meaning of the text based on the AI model. So a popular thing to do with vector search is you have a query or a question, you get a vector for that question, and then you want to find the closest matches to that query from among the vectors in your database that describe the text objects, for example. So that's called semantic search. So you can ask, you might have some questions like human resources comments about how people feel about working at a big company, and some of those comments might be about food or lunches or breakfasts or something like that. And if you want to ask a question about how people feel about the food, then if someone's talking about lunch, you're going to find stuff even though it doesn't mention the word food. That's called semantic search. So vector search can help you with those kinds of applications, LLM-based applications or image search and that sort of thing. And SingleStore's had image search. It has had vector search capability since 2017, and we're in the upcoming release coming very shortly, we're going to have what's called approximate nearest neighbor search based on an index. And so, we'll be a modern, scalable, general purpose database with a SQL interface that has the same power and capability as the specialty vector databases out there for doing this approximate nearest neighbor search.
I saw a good question from Patrick Steele. What types of data does SingleStore not handle well? Hanson, I think you should probably go for this one.
What do we not handle well? We're quite capable in a lot of different ways. I mean, I talked about we're multi-model. We don't have specialty graph capability, although we can handle graph use cases quite well with recursive common table expressions. But if you're trying to find like the k nearest neighbors in a graph and very few lines of code in your query, there are other systems that can do that with a little bit easier expression, but we can handle that use case too. So that's an area where others might have capabilities that might be a little easier for the application developer.
Absolutely. Okay. What type of vector? Oh, this is a good one. So H cross, what types of vector distance search are supported?
Oh, sure. Dot product and Euclidean distance are the two vector distance metrics that we support. And you can use dot product to do cosine similarity and cosine distance as well. So just, we cover all of those.
Awesome.
Good stuff. I think we might have time for one or two more questions before we wrap things up and announce the AirPods winner. Let's see. Do you have Abhi or Dave? Do you have a favorite that you haven't gotten to yet that you'd like to? I saw one about ETL, and I know that comes up in past webinars. Dave, do you want to talk about that for the community? I think you answered it digitally, but
Yeah. So our notebook interface is very popular for doing the kind of, ad hoc data exploration that you need to do for ETL. And then also very popular is the use of pipelines that terminate in store procedures. And we support, merge, update on duplicate key, those kind of operations to form streaming aggregates in ETL. And just our three-tiered architecture with the middle layer with the disk is much faster for this type of job than Hadoop or Spark or these kind of all memory architectures, and that's how we're able to achieve such a huge performance increase versus those technologies.
good stuff. Go ahead, Abhi.
I think we could take this last one from H. Kraus. Do you have a reference model or architecture for HTAP? I think this is our architecture. What you're seeing on the screen here. It kind of combines your transactional and analytical into one database. So the in-memory row store is your transactional, and what you see in the middle tier here is our column store for fast queries. So it's fairly simple in concept, but very powerful in the database.
Yeah, and it's important to understand that our universal storage format is kind of like takes advantage of both of the top two layers at the same time. So you don't have to, it's not like you have to use different table types to take advantage of this.
Exactly.
Awesome. Right. Let's wrap things up and announce the AirPods winner. But quickly, as I announced during the intro, tomorrow we will be presenting how to deploy a private LLM on AWS Cloud using Terraform and SageMaker. Like I said, during that time, our team will be presenting step-by-step process on how to create private customizable LLM using those AWS services. So if that topic sounds fun to you, please check out the link that I just put into the chat, bit.ly private LLM on AWS webinar. Abhi or Dave, I wonder if whoever's controlling the slides, if you could jump to the last slide of the deck, I should say. We've also got a QR code for anyone that wants to use that, or anybody that maybe is listening from their phone if they want to take a screenshot or a photo of that QR code. And then finally, the announcement you've all been waiting for. Today's AirPods winner goes to Juan Zhang, a senior engineering manager at Apple in Cupertino. Congrats, and thank you for joining. If that's not you, don't give up. We're going to announce one more AirPods winner by the end of the day for anyone who has tried out today's demo. So keep an eye on your email. We're going to be sending out a recording and the resources that are related to this, so you can try all this yourself. Thank you, Dave and Abhi, for an awesome presentation and demo. Thank you, Hanson, for joining as well for our Q&A. And thank you to our audience. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Bye, everyone.